Western Conference playoffs. Let's do it.
DreAllDay.com.
What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Saw the Eastern Conference prediction video. Now we're going to do the West. I'm going to go through each of the 4 first-round series. Then based on who I think is going to win those, I'm going to predict the second-round series. And then we'll come back with another video when the Western Conference final starts, whoever those teams happen to be, even if I'm 100% wrong, which I might be. But that's why I don't bet on this stuff. So let's go right into the Western Conference matchups. First round matchup, number 1, Houston against number 8, Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves went out and beat Denver in the last game of the season to get that playoff spot. First of all, the Denver Nuggets, Jokic is a stud. This guy he's young. I don't know how old is he, 23, 24 years old. We see what he can do physically, and we see that this dude can dominate a game when he wants to. He has too many games where he just plays passively. He just disappears and doesn't dominate the way that he should. Now, I know he has guys on his team like a Paul Millsap, Will Barton, Will the Thrill, who comes in and scores his points. You got a Jamal Murray, young guy coming up. Gary Harris, another young guy coming up. Jokic is better than all of them. Jokic is clearly the best player on that team. The way he played in that 82nd game last night, I'm recording this on, what day is it? Wednesday. Thursday. The way he played in that 82nd game Wednesday night, that's the way he needs to play in every game. He needs to, whatever he brought to that, he needs to bring that every game. The offense needs to run through him, which they want to run it through him, but he doesn't take over. He has to dominate being the best player on the team. He plays like that all season. They won't be fighting for the last playoff spot, the last game of the season anymore. So let's see if he can do that. That's a completely mental game thing. Physically, he has it. It's a complete mental thing he has to take over. He is the best player on that team, and there ain't no doubt about it when he wants to be. Anyway, they didn't make the playoffs. So let's talk about Houston against Minnesota. Houston has been, we already know about Houston. How many games did they win? 65 games they won this season. James Harden we know about. He's probably going to win MVP. Chris Paul, we know him. Their rotation, the team that they have around them, just works perfectly. They are three-pointers and layups. That's what they do. Get a ball to James Harden, let him break down whoever's guarding him. Nobody can guard this guy one-on-one. He creates shots for his teammates. He gets to the rim. He scores points. James Harden does what he needs to do. Now you add a guy like Chris Paul who can kind of fit. And this is the kind of thing that I've said, when you put players who are really good on the same team, even if you think their styles won't match, they'll always figure out a way to make it work. When LeBron first went to Miami, people were like, well, how LeBron and Wade going to play together? They both wings. They both need the ball. They're both so good that they figured it out. Like, if you put Steph Curry and Chris Paul on a team, they will figure it out. You put LeBron and James Harden on a team, they will figure it out. You put Kyrie and LeBron on the team, they'll figure it out. And when players are that good, they just figure it out, and everybody else falls in line doing what they got to do. Eric Gordon coming off the bench and sometimes starting, dude has been lights out. This is the best basketball he's played of his career since he found his role playing for the Rockets. They did lose, I think it's Mbah Moute. He's going to be out, I think, for the first round, they said. It was an injury he had. I forget what the injury was. But I think they can beat Minnesota without him. Now, Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns should dominate this series. Who does Houston have at center? They got Clint Capella. Clint Capella is not a bad player, but Karl Anthony Towns, is better than him. He needs to dominate Clint Capella. He needs to dominate the paint. He needs to dominate everything around the rim in this series. I say Karl Anthony Towns, they need a 25 and 15 from him every game to compete. If they are even thinking about winning, they need a 25-15 from Karl Anthony Towns every game. Jimmy Butler, I think, is still the best player on Minnesota. And he's going to be probably guarding James Harden. I think he needs to guard Harden and see what he can do to slow him down. Jimmy is a guy who could possibly slow down James Harden. He's got to do that. He dropped 30 in this last game to get them into the playoffs. He's got to do his thing and neutralize or at least match James Harden in this series and give Minnesota a puncher's chance. Andrew Wiggins, I don't know what we're going to get from Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is 6'8", super athletic, doesn't grab any rebounds, doesn't block any shots, doesn't get any steals, gets no assists. All Andrew Wiggins does is score points. And he's not that great at scoring points, in my opinion. What are we getting out of Andrew Wiggins? Minnesota fans, Andrew Wiggins fans, Canadians, I know he's from Canada. What's the deal with Andrew Wiggins? Somebody let me know what's going on. How can you be 6'8" and that athletic and average? How many rebounds he averaged this season? Whatever it wasn't enough. How many assists? Like, he got to round out his game. He scores points and he don't do anything else. Based on his physical, what's the word I'm looking for? His physical abilities, his physical profile. The guy should do a whole lot more outside of scoring points. He just doesn't do it. They need him to do a whole lot of that other stuff if they're going to win this series. Because it ain't just going to be points. and you already got Jimmy, and you already got Karl Anthony Towns, somebody got to bring something else to the table. He has the physical tools to do it. The question is, does he want to do it, and is he going to do it? I don't know, and because of that, there's no way Minnesota's winning this series. They're not winning this series. I got to go with Houston in, simply because they got Jimmy Butler, and I think Jimmy's going to carry them to at least one win. And I think Karl Anthony Towns could be attributed for a second win. I'm going to say Houston in 6, but Houston should win this in 5. Just thinking about what Minnesota has, my recency bias on how well they played last night to win that game, I'm giving them 6, but it should be 5. Houston should win this in 5. If they sweep them, I wouldn't be surprised. Second matchup, Golden State Warriors going against number 7 San Antonio Spurs. Well, this was a great matchup last year until Zaza Pachulia injured Kawhi Leonard by stepping under his leg when he went up for the jump shot, and he did that shit on purpose. I don't want to hear nothing else about that. But now this year, without Kawhi Leonard, what are the Spurs going to do against Golden State? Probably nothing. But Marcus Aldridge is the best player on the team. What is he going to do when he got like a Draymond or a Kevin Durant guarding him? Marcus Aldridge is going to have to get about a 30 and 10. They need a 30 and 10 out of him for them to win a game in this series. They need a 30 and 10 from Marcus Aldridge. Can we get a 30 and 10 from LMA? Because they're so well coached, I'm going to give them one win, but I'm going to say Golden State in 5. If Golden State's at full strength, I don't know if Steph Curry is back. Is he back for this first round series? Actually, I think they say he was out for the first round. I believe they say he was out for the first round. But either way, Golden State should still win in 5. As they still got Clay, Draymond, and Kevin Durant. They should win this series in 5. If the Spurs win 2 games, I consider that an accomplishment for the Spurs and a disappointment for the Warriors, because Kevin Durant's still the second best player in the world. So they need to win. They need to wrap this one up quick so they can move on to the next series and hopefully get Steph Curry back for that next round, because they will need him. So that's all I'm going to say about that series. Next series is number 3 seed Portland Trailblazers against number 6 New Orleans Pelicans. Now, first of all, Damian Lillard, I traded for him in my fantasy season. Thank you, Dame, for getting me to the championship round, because Damian Lillard was on fucking fire for the second half of the season. So thank you for that, Dame. Actually, from January on, he was on fire. He's still on fire. Damian Lillard is locked in right now. And because he's locked in, New Orleans ain't winning this series. Anthony Davis is the man. Anthony Davis is a stud. He's going to have some 30-15s in this series, I'm sure. But I think they might still lose those games where he gets to 30 and 15. Drew Holiday is better than I thought he was. He's been playing really, really well this season. And Rondo, when he wants to, plays great. And in the playoffs, usually Rondo wants to play great, which means the Pelicans are going to make this a series, but they're not going to win, because I believe Damian Lillard is the alpha dog on the court. Not necessarily that he's the best player. I think Anthony Davis is probably the best player, but I think Dame is the alpha dog guy mentally. And he has the physical skills, and he got the game. And Portland's just a better team. Portland's just been very hot. I think Utah's been hot, Portland's been hot, and the Sixers have been hot. Those are 3 teams I think been the most hot in the last leg of the season. And New Orleans ain't stopping a hot team. They just don't have the firepower. They don't have the pieces. They got Anthony Davis. They got playoff Rondo. They got Drew Holiday. That's about all they got. They're not winning this series. I'm going to go with Portland in, I'm going to say Portland in 6, simply because Portland hasn't demonstrated they could just kill a team in the playoffs yet. Maybe they will kill them, but I'm going to say Portland in 6, simply because of the Anthony Davis effect and the playoff Rondo effect and the Drew Holiday effect, that they will win 2 games, but they're not winning more than that. Blazers are going to win this in 6. So the last series is the number 4 Oklahoma City Thunder against the number 5 Utah Jazz. Utah was on a good tear. I think they were all the way up to the 3rd seed at one point, or neck and neck with Portland for that 3rd seed, and they lost a couple games down the stretch. Now they're the number 5 seed. They got to go on the road to go up against Mr. Triple-Double, Russell Westbrook. We got to call him Mr. Triple-Double, Russell Westbrook. The dude had 20 rebounds and 19 assists in a game. Even if somebody was trying to do that, how many players in the league could do it, even if they were trying to do it? I say LeBron could do it, maybe. No, LeBron could definitely do it. James Harden could do it. Who else? Maybe Ben Simmons, Giannis, if they were trying to do it. Russell was trying to do it last night, and he fucking did. That's crazy. Even though he only had 6 points, 20 rebounds and 19 assists, even though it was against the Grizzlies, and it was the last game of the season. How many players could do that, even if they tried? I don't think many. Russell Westbrook, even though he stat chases, I don't like when players stat chase, but you can push that under the rug with Russell Westbrook simply because the dude fucking competes. He competes hard. He does not get tired. He brings it every single night. He is clearly one of the top 5 let's just say top 10, because I ain't even going to try to get into the top 5. But he's one of the top 10 basketball players in the world right now. His presence alone means your team's winning at least, did they win 45 this year? They won 48. This team, you're going to win at least 45 games and make the playoffs if Russell Westbrook's on your team, period. I don't care who else is on the team. That's how good of a player he is, and because of that alone, I'll put the stat chasing thing to the side. Now, they're going up against Utah, who is a tough team. Utah has a great defense, and their team is built around their defense. Obviously, Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower. Donovan Mitchell's been great as a rookie revelation. I think he's the guy who's going to have to go up against either Paul George or Russell Westbrook, and I think he's going to get outplayed by those guys. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's going to get outplayed by those guys. It's not a knock on Donovan Mitchell. We're just saying, look who you're going up against. These guys are superstars, Olympians, all-stars. Paul George he's a role player now this year. He's not the superstar guy anymore. If he's making shots, Oklahoma City's pretty damn tough. Carmelo Anthony is, what do you say about Melo? I like Carmelo Anthony. I like his game. I don't think this is the right team for him. He needs to be on a team where he could kind of be more of a focal point. The problem is, if he's a focal point, your team's probably not making the postseason. That's just been what's happening with Carmelo Anthony. What can you say? You could put him on a team. You need to put him on a team with somebody like a LeBron, somebody who's like a great passer and creator for other guys. Like, he could play the role that Kevin Love plays on the Cavs, a guy like Melo. But he's not on the Cavs. He's on the Oklahoma City Thunder. No matter what Melo does, I think that the Thunder are still going to win this series on the strength of Russell Westbrook. On the strength of Russell Westbrook alone, they're going to win this series. Not that he's the only guy out there, but just if I had to just decide, is because of Russ, I got to go with the Thunder because of how good Utah's been this year, how well coached they are. I see the series going 7. Oklahoma City versus Utah is going to be a 7-game series. Game 7 is going to be in OKC. They're going to win that game 7 at home. Thunder move on to the second round. So our second round matchups, we got Houston against OKC and Golden State against Portland. These are not as exciting as I thought they wanted to be. I wanted to see OKC against Golden State. That's the series that I wanted to see. And I wanted to see Portland against Houston, but we got that flipped around. So we're going to get OKC against Houston. OKC is not going to win. They just don't have the overall firepower. I think Russ is great. He's still great, as he's going to be in the first round. Paul George. But Houston's just a better team. They are a well-oiled machine. James Harden is the man this year. I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulders simply after he didn't win MVP last year. Russ won it, getting his triple-doubles. This year, James Harden's going to win it. I think he's just playing with a vengeance this year. He wants to prove that he's really that guy. And I think he wants to prove that he can beat Golden State. And that's the team they want a shot at. Chris Paul, the same thing. He hasn't gotten past the second round in his career. This is his chance to get past the second round and beat Russell and OKC. They're beating OKC. Unless there's a catastrophic injury with Houston, they're beating OKC in 5 or 6 games. They're putting them away, and they're moving on to the matchup they want, which is Golden State Warriors. Because Golden State's going to beat Portland in the second round. Portland they got a great team. They got a solid team. They got these 2 dynamic guards in Dame and CJ McCollum who can score on Clay and Steph Curry. They can score points. Remember game 1 of last year when they were playing them and they had those guys combined for 50 points in the first half or something? And everybody was like, oh shit, Portland's out here making this look like a game. They still lost that game, didn't end up getting swept. They might get swept again this year. What are they doing any different this year than they were doing last year to play against this Golden State team? What's different about Golden State except the fact that they kind of slipped? They've been sleepwalking through the season, but they pretty much both had the same personnel. What's going to be different? I think Dame is more locked in. I think they can win at least 1 game. Hopefully they win 2 to make it interesting. I'm going to go with Golden State in 6. Simply because Golden State's been sleepwalking this year and Dame's been locked in. They're going to win 2 games, but they're not winning the series. So it'll be Golden State in 6, Houston winning in 5. And then we get to the conference finals, Houston, Golden State. That's going to be a stay-up late series. I'm going to stay up late and watch those 10:30 start games just to see what happens. But that's that. Those are my predictions for the Western Conference first and second round. You in the comments, tell me your predictions for each of the first round matchups. Who's going to win the second round matchups based on your prediction? How many games in every series and why in every series? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Leave it down there in the comments. I'm tired of talking. Work on your game. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. DreAllDay.com.